Billionaire finds father in tears with black maid. She exposes a 30-year family lie. Get out of here, you dirty scum! Victoria Langford's voice sliced like a blade through the opulent halls of the Kensington mansion. Outside, fierce winds from the Hudson River battered the granite walls. Inside, shadows played across gilded ceilings, rattling antique chandeliers. Aisha Thompson, 35, a devoted black caregiver, stood firm yet shaken. Her arm wrapped protectively around the fragile man behind her, shielding billionaire patriarch Arthur Kensington, 80, who clutched her sleeve like a lost soul in turmoil. Arthur's health had plummeted lately, ravaged by Alzheimer's and grief. But his weary, faded eyes fixed on Victoria, his daughter-in-law, with a silent plea. Victoria stormed forward in her designer dress, fury blazing, a crystal vase in her grip. Her stilettos echoed like warnings on the polished stone. "He's not your concern. He's a liability. And you?" she snarled at Aisha. "Just a lowly scrubber with delusions." "Back off." Aisha's tone was calm but resolute. "He wants me here," Arthur murmured faintly. "Don't go." "I run this place," Victoria shrieked. "I'm Daniel's wife, and soon it'll all be mine." Then she flung the vase. Shards and water hurtled toward them. Aisha spun, blocking Arthur. The vase shattered on her back. Blood, gasps, stillness. From the distant hallway, unseen, Daniel Kensington, the billionaire's son, had just entered. He halted. His father was weeping. The maid was wounded, and his wife was smirking. If you're new here, hit subscribe now so you don't miss the twist ahead. And drop a comment. Where are you watching from? And what time is it there? The wind howled like a banshee outside the Kensington mansion, whipping cold gusts off the Hudson River straight into the granite walls that stood like silent sentinels in the heart of Manhattan. Inside, the place felt like a tomb. Opulent, sure, with its gilded ceilings and antique chandeliers, swaying like they were about to snap. But tonight, the real storm was brewing in the grand living room, where shadows danced across Persian rugs worth more than most folks' houses. Aisha Thompson gripped the old man's shoulders tighter, her heart pounding as she felt his frail body shake against her. At 35, she'd seen enough crap in her life to know when trouble was about to hit the fan. But this was next level. Arthur Kensington, the 80-year-old white billionaire who'd built an empire from nothing but sheer grit and shady deals back in the day, was crumbling right there in her arms. His Alzheimer's had turned him into a ghost of the tycoon he once was. Thin as a rail, eyes foggy with memories that slipped away like sand through fingers. But tonight, those eyes were clear enough to spill tears, hot and silent, soaking into her uniform. "Shh, Mr. Kensington. It's okay," Aisha whispered, her voice steady like she'd practiced in front of the mirror 1,000 times. She'd been his caregiver for damn near a decade now, ever since she ditched that dead-end nursing gig in Detroit to chase better pay in the Big Apple. Back home, her mom was fighting lung cancer, chemo bills stacking up like unpaid rent. This job, it was her lifeline. But more than that, Arthur had become family in a way no blood tie ever could. He'd confide in her during those lucid moments, spilling secrets that could topple empires. And right now, he was clutching her sleeve like a kid scared of the dark, murmuring nonsense about lost time and forgiveness. From the hallway, a sharp voice cut through the air like a knife through butter. "Get out of here, you dirty scum!" Victoria Langford stormed in, her designer heels clicking like gunfire on the marble floor. She was a piece of work, that one. A white real estate shark in her mid-40s, all sharp angles and fake smiles, married to Arthur's son for the power play more than the love. Her latest deal had tanked hard, some overpriced condo flip in Brooklyn that left her seething and looking for a scapegoat. Tonight, that scapegoat was Aisha. Aisha didn't flinch, but her stomach twisted. She'd dealt with Victoria's racist barbs before. The sly comments about her kind not belonging in a place like this, the way she'd accidentally knock over Aisha's coffee mug or demand extra chores just to flex. But Arthur, he was off limits. Aisha's arm stayed wrapped around him, protective, like a shield against the incoming fire. Victoria's face twisted into a mask of rage, her perfectly blow-dried blonde hair not even budging as she advanced. She clutched a crystal vase from the side table. some heirloom worth a fortune, filled with wilting roses that matched her mood. He's not your damn concern. You hear me? He's a liability, dragging this family down with his senile crap. And you? She jabbed a manicured finger at Aisha, eyes narrowing to slits. Just a lowly scrubber with delusions of importance. Back off, or I'll make sure you're out on the street by morning. Aisha swallowed hard, tasting bile, but her voice came out calm, resolute, like she'd learned from years of biting her tongue. He wants me here, Mrs. Langford. He's upset, and I'm just trying to help. It wasn't a lie. Arthur had whispered it earlier, his voice cracking like old leather. Don't go, Aisha. Please. Arthur lifted his head slightly, his faded blue eyes locking onto Victoria with a mix of fear and recognition. Don't hurt her, he mumbled, the words slurring but laced with desperation. It broke Aisha's heart every time. The man who'd once commanded the old boardroom was now reduced to pleas. Victoria laughed, a cold, brittle sound that echoed off the high ceilings. Hurt her? Oh, please. I run this place. I'm Daniel's wife, and soon it'll all be mine. Every last dime, every square foot. You think a little maid like you can stand in my way? Her grip tightened on the vase, knuckles white. The wind outside rattled the windows harder, as if egging her on. Aisha felt the shift in the air, that split second before everything went to hell. Ma'am, let's just calm down. Too late. Victoria hurled the vase with all her might, shards of crystal and water arcing through the air like deadly confetti, aimed straight at Arthur's head. Time slowed. Aisha didn't think. She just acted, spinning her body to block him. The impact hit her back like a freight train, glass exploding against her shoulder blade, slicing through fabric and skin. Pain bloomed hot and sharp, blood trickling down her spine, soaking her shirt. She gasped, staggering but holding firm, her arms still around Arthur to keep him from falling. The room went dead silent, save for the drip-drip of water on the rug and Arthur's soft sobs. He clung to her tighter, whispering, Aisha. Why? Victoria froze for a beat, then her face morphed into fake shock, tears welling up on command, like she'd rehearsed this in front of her vanity mirror. Oh my God, what have you done? She wailed, spinning toward the doorway where footsteps echoed. From the shadows of the hallway, Daniel Kensington stepped in, his expensive loafers squeaking on the wet floor. He'd just gotten back from a late-night merger meeting, tie loosened, phone still buzzing in his pocket with emails from his tech empire. At 45, he was the spitting image of his dad in his prime, tall, sharp-jawed, with that same steel in his eyes. But right now, those eyes widened in confusion, taking in the scene. His father weeping in the arms of the black maid who'd been like a fixture in this house for years, blood staining her uniform, and his wife standing there with mascara-streaked cheeks, pointing accusingly. What the hell is going on here? Daniel's voice boomed, cutting through the tension like a buzzsaw. He dropped his briefcase, splashing into the puddle of water and blood. Victoria rushed to him, clutching his arm like a lifeline. Daniel, thank God you're home. She snapped, honey, attacked your father out of nowhere. Look at the mess, the blood. It's everywhere. Her voice cracked perfectly, sobs heaving as she buried her face in his chest. Aisha winced, pressing a hand to her back, feeling the warm stickiness spread. That's not what happened, she said softly, her breath hitching from the pain. She threw it. I just protected him. Arthur's hand trembled as he pointed weakly at Aisha. She saved me, he rasped, voice barely above a whisper, but Victoria steamrolled right over it. He's confused, Daniel. You know how he gets with the Alzheimer's. She's been hovering around him like a vulture, probably after his money. I told you we should have fired her ages ago. Daniel's jaw clenched, his mind racing. He loved his wife, or at least he thought he did, blinded by her charm and the way she handled the social circuit that kept his business afloat. But his dad, seeing the old man like this, broken and crying, hit him like a gut punch. He crouched down, gently touching Arthur's shoulder. Dad, you okay? Arthur nodded faintly, eyes pleading toward Aisha, but Daniel's gaze flicked between them all. The blood, the shards, Victoria's tears. Doubt crept in, but so did exhaustion from the day. Aisha, what the? This is insane. She met his eyes steady despite the fire in her back. I didn't do anything wrong, Mr. Kensington. Ask him. Victoria's grip tightened on Daniel's arm. Don't listen to her. She's lying to save her job. The room hung heavy with unspoken accusations, the wind outside mirroring the chaos within. Daniel straightened up, rubbing his temples. He didn't know who to believe, but the sight of his father's tears burned into him like acid. Something felt off, way off, but for now the storm had just begun. Daniel stood there like a deer in headlights, his mind spinning faster than a New York taxi in rush hour. The living room reeked of spilled water and blood, the shattered vase glinting under the chandelier like broken promises. His dad, Arthur, still huddled against Aisha, his sobs quieting to whimpers that tugged at Daniel's gut. Victoria clung to him, her nails digging into his arm just enough to feel possessive, her fake tears smearing mascara like war paint. Daniel, you gotta believe me, Victoria sniffled, pressing closer, her voice dropping to that honeyed whisper she used when closing deals, or covering her ass. She went nuts. I walked in, and she was yelling at him, shaking him like a rag doll. I tried to stop her, and this happened. She gestured wildly at the mess, her eyes wide with manufactured innocence. Aisha bit her lip, the sting in her back throbbing like a bad heartbeat. She could feel the blood soaking through, warm and sticky, but she locked eyes with Daniel, willing him to see the truth. Mr. Kensington, that's not how it went down. Your wife, she lost it over some deal gone south. Threw the vase at him. I just got in the way. Her voice cracked a bit, but she straightened up, refusing to crumble. Back in Detroit, she'd learned the hard way. Show weakness, and folks walk all over you. Arthur's hands shook as he reached out toward Daniel. She protected me, he rasped again, clearer this time, like a flicker of the old fire in his eyes. But the Alzheimer's made his words slurred, turning conviction into confusion. Daniel's chest tightened. He wanted to believe his dad. Hell, the old man had never steered him wrong in business or life. But Victoria, she'd been his rock these past 5 years, handling the schmoozing at galas while he built his tech startup into a beast. Work had him buried. Endless Zoom calls, investor pitches, the grind that left no room for doubt. Dad, easy now, he said softly, kneeling to steady Arthur's arm. Then turning to Aisha, his tone hardened. This doesn't add up. Why would she throw something at him? You're the one bleeding here. Victoria jumped in like a shark smelling blood. Exactly. She's playing the victim, Daniel. Probably cut herself on purpose to frame me. You know how these people are. Always scheming for a payout. Her words hung heavy, laced with that subtle racism she disguised as common sense. Aisha's fists clenched at her sides, nails biting into palms. These people? She echoed, voice low but sharp. The slur hit like a slap, reminding her of every sideways glance she'd gotten in this ritzy world. But she swallowed the rage. Bills for mom's chemo wouldn't pay themselves if she blew up now. Daniel rubbed his face, exhaustion etching lines deeper. Enough, both of you. He stood, pulling Victoria aside, his mind flashing to their wedding vows. The way she'd promised to build an empire together. Doubt nagged, but loyalty won out. For now. Aisha, I can't have this drama in my house. You're fired. Pack your stuff and go. I'll have security escort you out. The words landed like a sucker punch. Aisha's world tilted, her breath catching in her throat. Fired? Just like that? She glanced at Arthur, his eyes pleading, but she nodded stiffly, turning away before tears could betray her. Tell him goodbye for me, she muttered, cradling her injured back as she headed for the servants' quarters. Each step echoed in the hallway, whispers from lurking staff, already buzzing like flies on garbage. In the cramped room she'd called home for years, bare walls, a twin bed, photos of mom pinned up. Aisha slumped against the door, pain shooting up her spine. She grabbed gauze from her first aid kit, wincing as she bandaged the gash, blood staining the sink red. Her phone buzzed, text from her sister in Detroit, asking about mom's next treatment. How are we going to cover this? One read. Aisha's fingers hovered over the keys, but what could she say? Just got canned for doing the right thing? She shoved the phone away, stuffing clothes into a duffel bag with shaking hands. Tucked in the bottom, a faded photo of her and Arthur from last Christmas, him smiling like he remembered who she was. She pocketed it, wiping her eyes. No time for breakdowns. Survival mode kicked in. Back in the living room, Daniel helped Arthur to his feet, guiding him upstairs to bed. The old man's grip was weak, but he kept murmuring, "Aisha, where?" Daniel shushed him, tucking him in like he was the parent now. "Rest, Dad. It'll be okay." But as he closed the door, Arthur's faint call echoed. "Aisha." Downstairs, the staff milled about, cleaning up the shards with hushed gossip. "Heard she attacked the old man," a cook whispered to the butler. "Nah, Mrs. Langford's got a temper like a rattlesnake," another shot back, but low enough not to get overheard. The mansion felt colder, like the Hudson winds had seeped inside, chilling the bones. Up in the master suite, Victoria lounged on the king-size bed, sipping a glass of Chardonnay she'd poured to calm her nerves. Daniel paced, his loafers wearing a path in the carpet. "What really happened down there?" he asked, voice edged with uncertainty. She set the glass down, pulling him onto the bed with a sultry smile. "Baby, I told you," she flipped out. "Your dad's been getting worse, and she's probably stressed. But we can't have that kind of liability around. What if she sues? Or worse, hurts him for real?" Her hand traced his chest, distracting, manipulative. "You did the right thing. Protect the family." Daniel nodded slowly, but a knot twisted in his stomach. Victoria's touch usually melted his doubts, but tonight it felt off, like sandpaper. He lay back, staring at the ceiling, her head on his shoulder. Sleep didn't come easily. Arthur's sad eyes haunted him, that weak point toward Aisha replaying on loop. Why did Dad defend her? And why did firing her feel like kicking a puppy? The mansion settled into uneasy quiet, the staff's whispers fading as lights dimmed. But in Daniel's mind, the storm raged on, seeds of regret sprouting in the dark. Daniel tossed and turned in the massive bed, sheets twisted around him like a straitjacket. The mansion's silence screamed louder than the city traffic outside, his dad's haunted eyes burning holes in his skull. Why did firing Aisha feel like he'd just drop-kicked his own conscience? Victoria snored softly beside him, her Chardonnay breath warm on his neck. But he couldn't shake it, the way Arthur had pointed at her, whispering, "Saved me." Screw this, he thought, slipping out of bed at 3 a.m., feet hitting the cold hardwood like a wake-up slap. He padded down to the security room in the basement, a high-tech bunker he'd installed last year after some tabloid hack tried sneaking in. Monitors glowed blue, casting eerie shadows on server racks humming like distant thunder. Daniel slumped into the leather chair, rubbing sleep from his eyes, and fired up the system. "Let's see what really went down," he muttered, scrolling back to the living room feed from earlier that night. The footage loaded crystal clear, time-stamped, no glitches. There was Victoria storming in like a hurricane, face twisted in rage. Audio kicked in, her spewing those ugly words at Aisha, calling her dirty scum. Daniel's stomach churned. Then the vase, Victoria's arm cocking back, flinging it hard at his dad. Aisha whisked like a shield, taking the hit square on her back. Shards flying, blood blooming through her shirt. Arthur, clutching her, mumbling pleas. No attack from Aisha. None. Just pure sacrifice. Daniel hit pause, frame frozen on Victoria's smirk right after. "Son of a bitch," he whispered, heart hammering. He rewound, played it again. Slower this time. Same story. Victoria lied through her teeth. And Aisha, she'd eaten glass for his old man. Guilt slammed him like a truck, hot and heavy. How could he be so blind? Work had turned him into a zombie, trusting Victoria's sweet talk over his gut. But wait, something else caught his eye. He scrubbed back further, spotting Victoria alone in the room earlier. Phone pressed to her ear. He cranked the volume. "Yeah, transfer another 50 grand from the foundation," she hissed into the receiver. "The condo deal tanked. Cover it before Daniel notices. Route it through the Swiss account." Daniel's blood ran cold. The Kensington Foundation, his dad's pride, funding inner-city scholarships. She was skimming, embezzling. This wasn't just a temper tantrum, it was a full-blown scheme. He leaned back, hands shaking as he gripped the armrests. Flashbacks hit. Victoria's lavish shopping sprees, her business trips to Zurich. It all clicked now, like puzzle pieces he'd ignored. Rage bubbled up, mixing with shame. He'd thrown Aisha under the bus for this, a loyal caregiver who'd stuck by his dad through the Alzheimer's hell, while his wife played him like a fiddle. No more. Daniel bolted upstairs, grabbed his keys and coat, not even bothering with shoes beyond slippers. The garage door whirred open, his Tesla humming to life as he peeled out into the Manhattan night. Streets blurred, yellow cabs honking, neon signs flickering like bad omens. He didn't know where Aisha lived, but he'd overheard staff chatter. She hailed from Detroit, probably crashing somewhere cheap uptown. Harlem. Yeah, she'd mentioned grabbing coffee there once. He punched late-night cafes Harlem into his phone's GPS, tires squealing as he merged onto the FDR drive. Rain started pattering on the windshield, turning the city into a smeared watercolor. Daniel's mind raced faster than the car. What if she wouldn't listen? What if she'd already hopped a bus home? He gripped the wheel tighter, knuckles white. This wasn't just about fixing a screw-up. It was about owning his blindness, making it right before the guilt ate him alive. The GPS led him to a dingy spot on 125th Street, a hole-in-the-wall joint called Harlem Brew, neon open 24/7 sign buzzing like a flytrap. He parked crooked, slamming the door and dashing through the downpour. Inside, the place smelled of burnt coffee and fryer grease. A couple of night owls hunched over laptops, jazz humming low from speakers. There she was, Aisha behind the counter, wiping mugs with a rag, her back bandaged under a fresh shirt. Movements stiff like every twist hurt. Her eyes widened when she spotted him, the mug slipping from her fingers. But she caught it just in time. "Mr. Kensington, what the—" "It's the middle of the night." Daniel approached the counter, rain dripping from his hair, voice cracking like he hadn't spoken in days. "Aisha, I saw the footage. The cameras caught everything. You didn't attack him, she did. Victoria threw that damn vase, and you took the hit for Dad." He swallowed hard, the words tumbling out. "I was an idiot. Blind. I'm sorry. God, I'm so damn sorry." Aisha set the mug down hard, crossing her arms, her face a mask of guarded hurt. "Sorry doesn't pay the bills, Mr. Kensington, or fix Mom's chemo tabs stacking up back home." But her eyes softened a fraction, like she saw the raw regret in his. He leaned on the counter, voice dropping. "I know. That's why I'm here. Come back, please. I'll make it right. Quadruple your salary, full medical for your mom, whatever she needs. And a private room right next to Dad's. No more servant quarters crap. You deserve it. He needs you. Hell, I need you to fix this mess I made." The cafe's hum faded, rain pounding the windows like applause for his plea. Aisha's gaze searched his face, weighing the offer against the betrayal. The air hung thick, her decision teetering on the edge. Aisha stared at Daniel across the scarred counter of Harlem Brew, the fluorescent lights buzzing overhead like angry bees. Rain hammered the windows, turning the street outside into a blurry mess. His offer hung in the air. Quadruple pay, medical for Mom, a room fit for family. It sounded too good, like a trap wrapped in guilt. She wiped her hands on her apron, the bandage on her back pulling tight, a reminder of the crap she'd just escaped. "Mr. Kensington, you fire me like yesterday's trash, and now you waltz in here begging?" Aisha's voice cut sharply, but her eyes betrayed the tug-of-war inside, pride versus practicality. Mom's chemo bills flashed in her mind, the way her sister had texted, "We need you," just hours ago. And Arthur? Leaving him felt like abandoning a piece of herself. Daniel leaned in, palms flat on the counter, his fancy coat dripping puddles. "I know I screwed up big time, blind trust in the wrong person. But Dad, he's been asking for you nonstop, whispering your name like a prayer. Come back, Aisha, not as a maid, as someone who matters." His voice cracked, raw, with the footage still looping in his head. She crossed her arms, chewing her lip. The cafe's only other customer, an old guy nursing black coffee, shot them a curious glance but minded his business. "Fine," she said finally. exhaling like she'd been holding her breath underwater. But not just for the perks, for him. And listen, there's stuff you don't know, stuff your dad spilled to me years ago when the Alzheimer's hadn't fully kicked in yet. Daniel's eyebrows shot up, curiosity overriding his relief. What stuff? Aisha glanced around, lowering her voice. A secret he's carried for 30 years. About you, your real roots. But you ain't ready to hear it all. Not yet. Her words landed like a teaser trailer, vague enough to hook but not spoil. He blinked, processing. About me? Like what? Some skeleton in the closet? She shook her head, untying her apron with finality. Not here. Not now. Let's just say it's bigger than a thrown vase. You get me back. You get the truth when the time's right. She grabbed her jacket from the hook, heart pounding. Spilling even that much felt risky, but Arthur had trusted her with it during one of his clear nights. A burden she'd shouldered alone. Daniel nodded, a mix of gratitude and unease churning in his gut. Deal. Let's get you home. He tossed 100 on the counter for her shift, ignoring her protest, and they dashed through the rain to his Tesla. The drive back to the mansion was tense, wipers slashing like metronomes, city lights streaking by. Daniel stole glances at her, wondering what bomb she just hinted at. Roots? What the hell did that mean? Dawn cracked gray over the Hudson as they pulled into the Kensington driveway, the granite facade looming like a judgmental giant. Aisha stepped out, duffel slung over her good shoulder, the place feeling both familiar and foreign. Staff were already stirring, gardeners clipping hedges, a maid hauling trash cans to the curb. Eyes followed her as she walked the marble steps with Daniel. Inside, the foyer echoed with their footsteps. A couple of butlers paused mid-polish, whispers kicking up like dust bunnies. She's back? Thought she got the boot, one muttered to another, low but audible. Mrs. Langford's gonna flip her lid. Aisha caught the stares, some skeptical, others outright hostile, like she'd crashed an exclusive club. Daniel cleared his throat, voice booming. Listen up, everyone. Aisha's back, effective now. She's got her own suite near Dad's room. Treat her right or answer to me. Heads nodded, but the air crackled with unspoken crap. Upstairs, Arthur's door creaked open. He sat by the window, wrapped in a robe, staring at the river like it held answers. His face lit when he saw Aisha, eyes clearing through the fog. Aisha, you came back, he rasped, reaching out a trembling hand. She crossed the room in 3 strides, kneeling to grasp it. Told you I would, Mr. Kensington. Couldn't leave you hanging. Warmth flooded her chest, pushing back the night's chaos. He squeezed weakly, a tear slipping down his wrinkled cheek. My guardian angel. Daniel watched from the doorway, a lump in his throat. Seeing them like that, easy, real, hammered home his mistake. But her words from the cafe nagged, a 30-year secret about him. He shoved it down for now, focusing on the win. Word spread fast through the house like wildfire in dry grass. In the kitchen, cooks swapped gossip over breakfast prep. Heard she saved the old man from Mrs. Langford's tantrum, one said, flipping eggs. Nah, probably sweet-talked her way back, another scoffed, eyes narrowing. Aisha passed by later, grabbing a coffee, and felt the chill, backs turning, conversations dying mid-sentence. Victoria caught wind in her home office, mid-call with a shady investor. Her assistant buzzed in. Ma'am, Aisha's back. Mr. Kensington brought her himself. Victoria's grip crushed the phone. What? She slammed it down, fury boiling like overcooked pasta. That little... How dare he? She'd worked too hard climbing this ladder to let some caregiver steal her spotlight. Pacing, she grabbed her cell, dialing up her circle, the cutthroat real estate sharks in Midtown. Hey, spread this around, she hissed to her best frenemy at a Beverly Hills firm with New York ties. That black maid at our place? She's got her claws in the old man, probably seducing him for the inheritance. Whisper it at the next mixer. Make it stick. The line crackled with agreement. Gossip was currency in their world. Victoria smirked, plotting her next move. Tin John like that, laced with just enough racism to fly under the radar, would poison the well. Investors would pull back, Daniel would doubt. And Aisha, she'd be out faster than a bad stock. No way was she losing her grip on the empire. Not to her. Down the hall, Aisha settled into her new room. Plush bed, view of the gardens, but the whispers seeped through the walls like smoke. She unpacked a photo of Mom on the nightstand, steeling herself. Daniel's confusion from her hint lingered, but she dropped the full truth when ready. For now, survival meant watching her back. The mansion pulsed with undercurrents, secrets whispering in the vents, as Victoria's schemes took root in the shadows. Victoria slammed her laptop shut in the sun-drenched home office, the click echoing like a gunshot. Her latest scheme was in motion, whispers planted like seeds in fertile gossip soil. She'd hit up her network at a Midtown power lunch the day before, dropping hints over overpriced salads. You hear about that maid at our place? Black girl go-go's threw hooks in the old man, probably whispering sweet nothings for a slice of the pie. Eyes had widened, phones had buzzed under tables. By evening, social media in their elite circles lit up. Subtle posts on private groups, tagging influencers in real estate. Watch out for gold diggers in uniforms, one read, with a winking emoji that screamed racism without saying the word. But that was just the appetizer. Victoria paced the room, heels digging into the plush carpet, her mind on the main course. The condo flop had left a gaping hole in her secret slush fund, hundreds of grand down the drain. No way was she letting Daniel sniff that out. She fired up her encrypted app, fingers flying as she initiated the transfer. 200 Ks from the Kensington Foundation, straight to her Swiss account. Cover the debt, she muttered, hitting confirm. The foundation's coffers were deep. Scholarships for underprivileged kids, yeah, right. Who'd miss a chunk? She'd fudge the books later, blame it on administrative fees. Adrenaline surged. This was her game. High stakes, no net. Downstairs, the mansion hummed with tension, staff dodging each other like cars in traffic. Aisha felt it in every glance. A cook averting eyes in the kitchen, a gardener muttering as she passed. The rumors had trickled back fast, twisting like vines. Heard she's after the inheritance, a maid hissed to another over laundry. Aisha clenched her jaw, pouring Arthur's meds with steady hands. Ignore the noise, she told herself, but it stung like salt in her wound. Back home in Detroit, folks talk smack too. But this was weaponized, aimed to isolate. Arthur sat in his armchair by the window, staring at the Hudson's choppy waves. His color was off today, pale, clammy, breath shallow like he was fighting for air. Aisha knelt beside him, adjusting his blanket. You okay, Mr. Kensington? Looking a bit peaked. He nodded weakly, but his hand clutched his chest, eyes distant. The whispers. They're getting louder, he rasped, voice thin as paper. Victoria, she's poison. Aisha's gut twisted. She'd overheard enough to know the storm was brewing. Don't worry about that crap. Focus on you. But inside, worry gnawed. His Alzheimer's flares came with stress, and this house reeked of it. She helped him sip water, her mind flashing to the secret he'd burdened her with years ago. 30 years of lies, bottled up. If things went south, she'd have to spill. To Daniel, ready or not. Across town, Daniel's phone blew up during a board meeting at his tech HQ in Chelsea. Text from investors. Heard some wild stuff about your household help. Everything cool? He frowned, pocketing it mid-pitch on the latest AI rollout. What the hell? After the meeting, he scrolled through private chats, buzzing with rumors. Your maid seducing the old man? Classy. His blood boiled. Victoria's handiwork? No, couldn't be. But doubt crept in, slimy and persistent. He raced home, tires screeching into the drive. Bursting through the door, he cornered a butler. Where's my wife? The guy stammered, pointing upstairs. Daniel took the steps 2 at a time, slamming into her office. What the fuck is this? He shoved his phone in her face, screen glowing with the gossip. Victoria spun in her chair, cool as ice. Oh, that? Just chatter, baby. People talk when they see a maid waltzing back like she owns the place. She stood, sauntering over, hands on his shoulders. She's trouble, Daniel. I warned you. Probably started the rumors herself to play victim. He shook her off, pacing. This smells like bullshit. And Aisha? She's been gold for Dad. But the seeds were planted. His mind replayed her cryptic words from the cafe. Secrets about him. Was there more to her return? The argument escalated, voices bouncing off walls. You're paranoid, Daniel yelled. Victoria fired back. You're blind. Staff eavesdropped from halls, tension thick as fog. Upstairs, Arthur overheard the shouts, his frail body tensing. Chest tightened like a vice, pain shooting down his arm. He gasped, clutching the armrest, sweat beading on his forehead. Aisha! He wheezed, fumbling for the call button. She burst in from the next room, eyes widening at his gray pallor. Mr. Kensington, hang on! She checked his pulse. Weak, erratic. Call 911, she shouted down the hall. Chaos erupted. Daniel and Victoria rushed up, her face paling for real this time. Dad! Daniel knelt, panic rising. Arthur's eyes locked on Aisha, breath ragged. Tell him, he forced out, hand grasping hers. The truth, before. Ambulance sirens wailed closer, paramedics storming in with gear. They loaded Arthur onto the stretcher, oxygen mask clamped on, wheeling him out as rain pelted the drive. Daniel jumped in his car, tailing the ambulance to Mount Sinai, heart slamming. Victoria followed in her SUV, mind racing. Did the old man just blow her cover? At the ER, docs swarmed Arthur, hooking up monitors that beeped erratically. Heart attack, one barked. Stress-induced, looks like. Daniel paced the waiting room, fists clenched, guilt gnawing. If the rumors stressed him out. Aisha arrived minutes later, still in her uniform, face etched with worry. She squeezed Daniel's arm. He's tough. He'll pull through. They let them in after stabilizing. Arthur lay pale against pillows, tubes snaking everywhere, but awake, eyes sharp through the haze. Victoria hovered in the doorway, feigning concern, her phone buzzing with transfer confirmations. Arthur waved her off weakly, focusing on Daniel and Aisha. Son, listen, he whispered, voice like gravel. Aisha knows everything. Daniel leaned in, confusion knotting his brow. Knows what, Dad? Arthur's gaze shifted to Aisha, pleading. Tell him the secret. Aisha's throat tightened, tears pricking. She glanced at Daniel, his face a storm of fear and questions. It's about your mom and who you really are, she started, voice trembling. Your dad found out years ago, but he kept it buried. For you. Daniel staggered back a step, the world tilting. What the hell does that mean? Fear gripped him, secrets bigger than rumors, unraveling everything he knew. Arthur's monitor spiked, and the docs are rushing in. Not now, Aisha said softly, pulling Daniel aside as nurses stabilized. But the hook was set, dread coiling in Daniel's chest like a snake ready to strike. The hospital room at Mount Sinai hummed with the steady beep of monitors, the sterile air thick with antiseptic and unspoken bombshells. Arthur lay propped up against pillows, his chest rising in shallow heaves, IV lines snaking like lifelines. The heart attack had knocked him flat, but his eyes burned clear now, cutting through the fog like a lighthouse in a storm. Daniel hovered by the bed, face pale under the fluorescent glare, his tech mogul armor cracked wide open. Aisha stood at Arthur's side, her hands still clutching his, tears streaking her cheeks as the weight of 3 decades pressed down. Victoria lurked in the corner like a shadow, arms crossed, her phone silenced but buzzing in her pocket, probably more scheme alerts. She'd slinked in after the docs stabilized him, pasting on concern like cheap makeup. But Arthur's gaze skipped her, locking onto Daniel. Son, it's time, he rasped, voice scraping like sandpaper. Aisha, tell him. Daniel's heart jackhammered, the room spinning a bit. Tell me what? Dad, you're scaring the crap out of me. He grabbed the bedrail, knuckles white, mind flashing to Aisha's cafe hint. Secrets about his roots. What could be bigger than the embezzlement mess he'd glimpsed? Aisha swallowed hard, her throat clicking dry. She wiped her eyes with her sleeve, the bandage on her back itching like a bad omen. Arthur had confided in her 5 years back, during a lucid spell after a rough night. You're the only one I trust, he'd said then, voice breaking. Now with him nodding encouragement, she dove in. Okay, here goes. Her voice trembled, but she pushed through, words tumbling like dominoes. Your mom, God rest her, she wasn't faithful, had an affair, with your dad's own brother, your uncle, the one who passed in that car wreck back in '95. Daniel froze. breath hitching like he'd been gut punched. What? No, that's bullshit. He staggered back a step, chair scraping loudly against the tile. Victoria's eyes widened in the corner, but she stayed mute, calculating. Arthur squeezed Aisha's hand, urging her on. She nodded, tears flowing freer now. It happened before you were born. Your dad found out when you were 6. Some old letters, a DNA test he snuck. But by then, she paused, voice cracking. By then, he loved you like his own flesh and blood. More even. He buried it deep, raised you as his, because blood doesn't make family. Love does. The room went dead quiet, save for the monitor's rhythmic ping. Daniel's world shattered, pieces raining down. He thought of his mom, gone too soon from cancer when he was 10, her warm hugs, her stories, lies, all of it. He sank into the chair, head in hands, breaths coming in ragged gasps. Uncle Mike, that drunk who never showed up for holidays? He's my real dad? The word real tasted bitter, like bad coffee. Arthur reached out, his frail hand landing on Daniel's knee. Biologically, yeah, but son, listen. His voice gained strength, eyes pleading. I chose you, every damn day. When I saw those results, it gutted me. But you were mine, my boy. I couldn't lose you to the truth back then. It would have torn us apart. Daniel lifted his head, eyes red-rimmed, tears carving tracks down his face. Why hide it? All these years. I built my life on a lie? Rage bubbled up, mixing with hurt like oil and water. He shot to his feet, pacing the tiny room, bumping into the IV stand. You let me think. Hell, you let everyone think. I was a Kensington through and through. The empire, the name, it's all fake. Aisha stepped forward, voice soft but firm. It ain't fake. Look at him. He fought for you. Kept the secret to protect you, not hurt you. She glanced at Arthur, who nodded weakly, exhaustion etching deeper lines. Her own heart ached. Spilling this felt like betraying a trust, but Arthur's plea in his eyes sealed it. Victoria shifted, her facade cracking a hair. This is insane, she muttered, but Daniel whipped around, glare pinning her. Stay out of it. For the first time, he saw her clearly. The schemer, the liar. But that fight could wait. This bomb was still exploding. Arthur coughed, monitor spiking a warning beep. A nurse poked her head in, but he waved her off. Daniel, I was scared. Scared you'd hate me, run off. Your uncle was a mess. Booze, bad choices. I gave you stability, love. That's what dads do. His voice broke, tears slipping free. Blood doesn't matter. You're my son in every way that counts. The words hung heavy, sinking in like rain on parched earth. Daniel stopped pacing, slumping against the wall, the fight draining out. Flashbacks hit, Arthur coaching his Little League games, staying up late for homework, beaming at his college grad. Not blood, but sweat and heart. You really chose to keep me? His voice came small like a kid's. Arthur nodded, a weak smile cracking his lips. Every time. Wouldn't trade it for the world. Aisha watched the shift, her own tears blurring the scene. She stepped between them, guiding Daniel back to the bed. He knelt, grasping Arthur's hand, their grips tight like lifelines. I don't know what to feel, Daniel admitted, voice raw. Shocked, yeah. But you're still dad, always were. The admission cracked something open inside him, relief flooding the hurt, washing it cleaner. Arthur pulled him into a hug, frail arms surprisingly strong. That's my boy. They held on, the room warming despite the chill, monitors settling to a steady rhythm. Aisha wiped her face, a small smile breaking through. He needed you to know, in case. She trailed off, but the weight lifted, air lighter now. Daniel pulled back, eyes meeting hers with gratitude. Thank you for carrying this, for him. She nodded, the three of them linked in that moment. Family forged in fire, not blood. Victoria cleared her throat from the corner, but no one turned. The secret was out, bonds reshaping in the wreckage. Daniel stormed out of the hospital room, fury boiling like a pot left too long on the stove. The secret about his roots still echoed in his skull, but it fueled him now, turned hurt into rocket fuel. Victoria trailed behind, her heels clicking frantically on the linoleum, face a mask of fake worry. Daniel, wait! We need to talk about this craziness. He spun in the parking garage, keys jangling in his fist. Talk? Oh, we're way past talk. He yanked out his phone, scrolling to the security footage he'd saved. The vase throw, her sneaky calls about skimming the foundation. I saw it all. The lies, the embezzlement. You're done. His voice sliced cold. No room for her BS. Victoria's eyes darted, color draining like she'd seen a ghost. Baby, that's not... It's a misunderstanding. I was just shifting funds for investments. For us! She reached for his arm, but he jerked back like her touch burned. Misunderstanding? You threw glass at my dad, framed Aisha, and stole from his charity to cover your ass on bad deals. He dialed his lawyer, voice steady as steel. Yeah, Mike. Draw up divorce papers and get the DA on the line. Embezzlement, assault. I want her out. Victoria's protest blurred into white noise as he hung up, security footage already emailed as evidence. By nightfall, cops showed up at the mansion, escorting Victoria out in cuffs for questioning. She spat venom the whole way. You'll regret this. I built this life with you. Daniel watched from the steps, arms crossed, as her SUV peeled off. The door slammed shut behind her, literally and figuratively. Divorce served fast track, assets frozen. She was history, facing charges that'd bury her deeper than her failed condo flips. Back inside, the mansion felt lighter, like it had exhaled a toxic breath. Daniel crashed in his office, head throbbing, but purpose clear. He summoned the staff the next morning, everyone from chefs to drivers, herding them into the grand foyer under the chandelier's glow. Sun streamed through windows, casting gold on marble floors that had seen too much drama. Listen up, Daniel boomed, standing tall like his dad in his prime. Aisha stood beside him, chin high, though her heart raced under the stairs. Arthur wheeled in nearby, recovering but alert, blanket over his lap. Staff shifted uneasily, whispers dying quickly. Daniel's gaze swept the room, landing on each face. You've heard the rumors, seen the mess. Today, that ends. He turned to Aisha, voice cracking just a hair. This woman saved my dad's life, took a hit for him, got framed, and I bought the lie. But no more. Gasps rippled, eyes widening, a few nods from the ones who'd suspected. He faced the crowd again. Aisha Thompson ain't staff anymore. She's family. Murmurs exploded, but he powered through. I've updated the estate papers. She gets shares in the Kensington Foundation, oversight on Dad's care, and veto on any shady crap. Disrespect her? You're out the door. Silence fell heavy, then a dishwasher clapped slowly, others joining till it echoed like thunder. Aisha's throat lumped, tears pricking. I don't know what to say, but inside warmth bloomed. Vindication after the dirt they'd slung. Later in Arthur's room, the sun filtering through the curtains, Daniel handed her an envelope thick as a brick. Open it. She did, eyes bugging at the check. $2 million plus foundation board seat. You earned this, he said, not just for saving him, but for holding our secrets when we didn't deserve it. Aisha shook her head, pocketing it with trembling hands. It's too much. But Arthur reached out, grasping her fingers. You're home now, kiddo, he said, smile crinkling his eyes. My daughter, in every way that counts. She squeezed back, tears spilling free, the word daughter hitting like a hug she'd craved her whole life. The mansion transformed that week, staff thawed, offering nods and ma'ams instead of side eyes. Daniel learned fast. Listen to your gut, not the noise. Truth bridged gaps wider than race or blood, turning cold walls warm. Arthur mended slowly, but with Aisha's care, color returned to his cheeks. Family dinners filled the table, laughs echoing where silence once ruled. Daniel watched it all. Lesson etched deep, hearts over heritage. The Kensington legacy, stronger now, built on rock-solid truth. If this tale of hidden truths and unbreakable bonds hit you right in the feels, remember the core lesson. Real family isn't defined by blood or barriers like race. It's forged in loyalty, sacrifice, and choosing love over lies every damn day. What about you? Have you ever uncovered a family secret that changed everything, or stood up for someone who got the short end of the stick? Share your story in the comments below, and let's spark some real talk. Stick around, because next time we're diving into a wild ride about a whistleblower taking down a corporate giant from the inside. Trust me, you won't want to miss the twists. Thanks from the bottom of my heart for watching. Hit that like button if justice wins for you. Subscribe for more, and I'll catch you in the next one. Stay true out there.